G'day, how's it going? I'm Red, and today I'm going to be reading some r/I Don't Work Here Lady, read by Red. Here we go. Crazy Karen somehow mistakes 14-year-old for bartender. My dad used to own an ice rink where we lived. The ice rink had a bar in a pretty big lobby that was really long. Think about 30 feet or 10 meters. I liked to go behind the bar and was allowed to since my dad owned the rink, and I would sometimes get lemonade and occasionally get some for my friends too without charging them. One day I was behind the bar just getting some lemonade like I normally did. While my back was turned to the bar, I heard someone sort of clearing their throat, as if to get my attention. I didn't pay any mind to it, assuming they were trying to get the actual bartender Mary's attention. After I finished filling up my lemonade, I turned around and saw this lady. She looked unhappy and I immediately got nervous. I have social anxiety and I tend to clam up around adults I don't know, especially when I was younger. Then this exchange happened. Excuse me, but I have been trying to order drinks and you have been ignoring me. Ma'am, I didn't know you were talking to me. I don't work here. I'm only behind the bar because I need 2 lemonades, a Sprite, a Budweiser, and a Coors Light. Ma'am, for the last time, I don't work here. I'm 14. Please go and see the actual bartender Mary and order your drinks. Then why are you behind the bar? Are you trying to steal drinks? No, ma'am, I've been trying to tell you my dad— Get me whoever is in charge right now! You are behaving absolutely unacceptably and not getting me my drinks! At this point, I was on the verge of tears. Fortunately, my dad happened to be in his little office near the bar, which was more like a booth, and I could go get him. I told him what happened in a few brief words, and he actually knew who I was talking about. Apparently, he had kicked out the same lady a few weeks before for abusing Mary. My dad stood up and walked over to this woman. He's about 6.5 feet tall and weighs 210 pounds, so he was pretty intimidating. This lady couldn't have been more than 5'2" and maybe 130 pounds. So when my dad walked over to this lady, you could see a little bit of apprehension on this lady's face. She was still trying to maintain her bluster, but I could also tell she didn't want to be anywhere near my dad. Hello, is there a problem? Yes, are you the manager here? This bartender is absolutely awful and refusing to serve me drinks. Ma'am, I'm the owner of this building and that's my daughter. She's 14 and not a bartender. There happened to be a framed newspaper with my dad on the front cover for buying the ice rink right where we were standing, which Karen saw. The colour immediately drained out of her face, but for whatever reason, she still tried to throw a fit. Well, she should have served me drinks. I didn't know she was 14. Karen says something really stupid here. You should give me free skating passes for my trouble. How Karen didn't know I wasn't a bartender is a mystery to me. I was a little bit tall for my age, around 5'6", but the oldest you could have mistaken me for was maybe 16. I had freaking braces for crying out loud. My dad was getting pretty angry right now, and he was tired of dealing with this lady. Actually, aren't you the lady who got thrown out a few weeks ago for being rude to the actual bartender? Because you have been abusing staff here, you need to leave now, and you're banned from the building as well. But I didn't know! You can't ban me! You have no right! Actually, I do! Now get out before I either have to remove you myself, or leave before I call the police to file a report for harassment. At this point, Karen realized he wasn't actually kidding, and thankfully left. My dad made sure I was okay, and I got some more lemonade. I don't understand those people who realize they've made a mistake and still try and double down on it. It's a great time now to like the video, and here is our next story. The I Don't Work Here that broke my heart. It all happened many years ago. We're talking mid to late 80s, and it's not a typical I don't work here story. There's no exploding Karen or any instant karma. Before I begin, I should just say that as a child, I was very close to my grandmother. Both my parents worked, and when I got out of primary school, I went to my grandparents' house until my mother picked me up. I also stayed with my grandparents during the school holidays. My grandmother taught me the basics of cooking, gave me a love of literature, and showed me the joy to be had from music. In about 1983, my grandparents emigrated to New Zealand to live near their son. My mother, their daughter, sadly died in 1981, and I was well settled in secondary school by then, so they felt making a move like that would be good for them. It was tough saying goodbye to my grandparents. I was very close to both of them, but especially my grandmother. Some years later, 1988 or thereabouts, I had started university. Just before the end of my first year, my grandparents came back to the UK for a visit. They were staying with my dad, although he wasn't their son, he thought of them as his parents. Before Dad knew about their proposed visit, he had decided to have some work done to his house. He wanted double glazing installed and some work on the roof done. So when they arrived, there was a lot of activity going on around the house. About a week after my grandparents arrived back, my college broke up for the summer vacation and I travelled back home. I was excited to see my dad, but I was really excited to see my grandparents again. It had been a few years since I last saw them. We'd exchanged letters, but not seen each other since saying goodbye at the airport when they left for New Zealand. I got a taxi from the railway station to my dad's house, and the first thing I saw when I got home was the building site that was in front of his house, complete with the builders. I didn't even need to open the front door. There wasn't one. It was being replaced. I left my backpack in the hall and went into the kitchen. My grandmother always liked being in the kitchen. The kitchen was her domain, and it was the place she felt most at home. The kitchen was also at the back of the house, and it was the furthest away from all the work at the front of the house. So I went straight there. I opened the kitchen door and just stood there smiling at my lovely, gentle, kind grandmother. She had aged so much, but was still unmistakably my grandmother. My smile slowly disintegrated when I saw the reaction on her face. It was a look of fear and anger. Then she grabbed my grandfather's hand and said, "He's coming in! Why is he coming in? Who does he think he is? Get out!" My grandmother, who I had seen every day of my life for the first 15 years of my life, who I loved so much, didn't even know who I was. She thought I was one of the builders and was terrified of me. The fear on her face ripped my heart in two. That was both my very first "I don't work here" stories, and also how I discovered my brilliant and loving grandmother was suffering from dementia. I think that's one of the most heartbreaking things that can happen. I hope you liked that serious twist on these r/I don't work here lady stories, read by me, Red. It's nice to have a bit of variety sometimes. Please like the video and leave a comment about whether you liked the serious story or not, and subscribe to my channel as well, so you can be sure to catch all of my videos. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Bye bye.